I am a stubborn person. I don't like to admit when I'm wrong, and I stick to my opinions. This way, I can avoid any possible confusion. Don't get me wrong, I am open-minded. I think it's more than okay for people to be different. I think it's good for people to live the way they want to live. There's nothing confusing about that. But when it comes to big ideas, I struggle with changing my mind. Mostly because it causes me to reconsider everything I thought I knew about the world. So I can get pretty confused sometimes. Before college started, my mom, a graduate from the University of California, Berkeley, warned me about the possible radicals I might encounter in my women and gender studies class. She told me about the ones she experienced on the extremely feminist campus of UC Berkeley. I haven't come across any like she's described, but I have read about them. For class, we read a series of essays and letters written by women of color to introduce the idea of intersectionality.
Intersectionality is the idea that there are intersecting identities, so like your gender and your class, your ethnicity, race, that affect your social positioning in society, that there's no hierarchy to which has greater effect on you in life, but that all of these identities intersect to make your position in societies.
That was my Intro to Women and Gender Studies professor, Dr. Rebecca Martinez. She assigns us weekly readings about different topics, like women in health or women in race, and sometimes my roommate Jordan Meyer and I would really disagree with what we read. Like one time, we were reading a book of poems called This Bridge Called My Back. One writer said it was not the responsibility of the oppressed to educate the oppressors. This was new to us, and we weren't really buying it. That led to an interesting series of events.
We both were reading one of these poems, and I just remember both of us me in particular, just throwing my book and being like, I can't do this anymore. It's making me too angry. And then we got into a yelling match, not at each other, but with each other about our anger about this.
When I walked into the classroom, I couldn't hold in my thoughts. I went on and on about how I disagreed with the readings. What do you mean it's not the job of the oppressed to educate the oppressor? To me, that didn't make sense. The oppressed are the only ones who are qualified to educate oppressors. To back up my point, I brought up the example of, hey, if I lost an arm, I would be one of the only people who can talk about having one arm. A bit off the subject maybe, but my point was there. Then, someone in my class said something that I can't stop thinking about. And to be honest, if they weren't wearing a Depeche Mode t-shirt, I wouldn't have even taken the time to listen.
I think it is important for oppressed members of a marginalized group to speak up when they, have the ability to and are comfortable. But after a while, it can be pretty almost exhausting to constantly have to prove your humanity over and over to people who will just disagree with you. They consider you less of a person.
Riley Dinwiddie identifies as agender and uses they-them pronouns. Their identity contributes to why their comment caught my attention. I realize Riley is also a member of a marginalized group, and they didn't have the same opinion as I did. I didn't realize that just because I'm technically the oppressed as a Latina doesn't mean every oppressed person has the same experience as me.
It can be really exhausting to be referred to as a girl with she her pronouns when you've consistently told them I understand you can tell if they're not trying, and so it's kind of exhausting to constantly not demand but ask for the basic respect of other people who should be including you.
After Riley spoke in class, I took a huge mental pause. What they said made sense. I couldn't stop myself from looking back on how I used to believe all marginalized groups had the same experiences, that they all had the same form of oppression. I realized I might have been very wrong. Riley taught me that as much as I want to be, I'm not always right. So now I know I might not always know the answer to everything, and that's okay. It's okay to be confused. I learned I can't wrap everything up in a nice little bow, especially when it comes to large topics such as the oppression of marginalized groups, no matter what they are. It's okay to not know the answer to everything.
You're not born with this knowledge, right? So I think college is about confusion, hopefully, because if you're going to learn anything, if you're going to say, look, I'm feeling threatened, I'm feeling defensive, but you know what? I'm going to listen to this.
Reluctantly, I've learned she's right. College is for learning. Well, that's pretty much what life is for, too. I don't know the answer to everything, surprisingly, but I intend to find out as much as I can. That's good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's good to be confused and to, grapple with things.
Yeah. I guess I still have some grappling to take care of. I'll make some room in my schedule. For Making Waves, I'm Kassidy Arena.